Hello, you beautiful people. Today's video, I'm going to be talking again about the topic I had mentioned on my channel previously, which is this idea of a new party, a third party called the Transcendentalist Party that was given to me via download, which is, there like during meditation, basically like a stream of thoughts. And the idea of this is basically to establish a new party that we can, moving forward, have the Republicans and Democrats, the two largest party groups, come together and realize at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. And there's also a part in that where the main goal of the Transcendentalist Party is to make it so people can transcend. At the end of their lifetime, they can have an opportunity to be able to transcend, to go to the higher astral planets, or in the sense, if you're someone who follows religion, in one of these certain heavens. Just kind of in the sense that, right now we have it set up where we have Social Security for our elders, so, we can support them and help them get by and all that. And at the end of the day, in the Bhagavad Gita, it states that during the last 25% of someone's life, they should be giving up their material attachments, house, things like that. Basically, like getting people set up for retirement and getting them set up then for their next lifetime. Because that's the reality. Once this life comes to an end, all lives come to an end. You don't have to start planning for that next life ahead. And as I explain this, it's like, well, mixing politics and spirituality, in a sense, is very new, and it can seem somewhat obtuse. But the idea is not that there's no ideology that is being pushed upon people. It's just going to the factual basis that consciousness as form cannot be destroyed, energy and matter cannot be destroyed. Once we fall down in these bodies, our consciousness then lives on and can go and reincarnate here back on Earth, or to the higher heavenly planets, depending on your karma. And that's really the sense, is to have this party, its main aim and its main goal, to set up a system where these three lower chakras, the ones that attach us to the physical plane, allow people the opportunity to balance these out and overcome these desires in a way that's karmic. So through action. So there's no reason or need or anything for this to be like religious or spiritual ideology. There's nothing to force onto people or have them believe. It's just very simple at the end of the day. Like, if you're someone who has their basic survival needs met, you have someone who has their basic relationship and creative needs met, and you have someone that has their ego, wealth, power, everything in check, then it allows them the opportunity to expand onto the heart. And when the heart chakra opens, that's really the goal of being here on Earth, being here on the physical plane, is to open up the heart chakra and have these lower ones balanced. That way you don't have to reincarnate as a physical being again. You don't have to go through forgetting and all that. My cat in the background is playing with toys, and so I've basically tuned it out at this point. It's going to be there the whole video. I apologize, but I love my cat, and so I'm not going to go and tell him not to play with his toy. And I don't want to stop making this video just so I can go over and stop him. But going on past that, the way I'm seeing the Democratic and Republican Party, and again, why everything is applied back to the chakra system, is because the chakra system is something that exists on the causal plane of existence, which caused all of creation to exist. And so almost everything like that is creative, in a sense. Like, anything that has been created comes from the source of creation. So the chakra system is basically like this root, like this pattern where everything fits, because it's in our body, and our body is the universe. So it's just a good layout of how to see everything. And it's a great way to storytelling as well. It's a great way for me to kind of segment these videos out. So the way I see it right now is the Democratic Party. And when I say Democrat, Republican, what am I? Like, I literally never cared my entire life. Like, I was maybe just too like airheaded to know the difference between Republican and Democrat. I just recognized corruption, and then I saw, oh, there's somebody, Trump, campaigning off of this corruption, and I'm like, okay, I like that, because I recognize this corruption. But, you know, not knowing what we don't know now is like, are we preparing ourselves just for, you know, one corrupt party to be switched with another corrupt party? More on that in a different video. I'm going to go start talking about how with the Democrat Party, it seems like for the most part, these two lower chakras, the root chakra and the Swadhisthana chakra, are very much covered by the Democratic Party and like focused on with the Democratic Party. And means like things like making sure everyone gets their basic needs met, talking about free healthcare, talking about even like universal basic income, all like that, like having food stamps and all that. These are basic necessities, having shelters and all that, that the Democrats and like the Liberal Party are behind. And to be honest with you, like, this is an amazing thing. Like, what you need to understand is not everyone, there's a lot of people that are like, okay, you need the Manipura chakra because they have these other two chakras balanced. And they don't understand that the other people who do not have the root chakra and the Swadhisthana chakra balanced, they're unable for the Manipura chakra to actually, you know, take on the roles and responsibilities of having a job and all that, because their personal development didn't make it to here, because they didn't, in life they were missing out on either the root chakra or the Swadhisthana chakra. So they're missing out on those things. That means why they might not be able to work a job and make money. This is the case. And this can also be something that in most cases people are born into, the house and everything they're born into. If they have an imbalance here, then they're not going to be able to. So this idea of supporting people who have these imbalances, we're all part of the same thing, especially when it comes to that applies to, first locally and then, state, and then as a country. Like, we are only as strong as our weakest parts. Like, our country is only as strong as the average of everyone. So we need to help lift other people up, people who need it. And that's the thing. It's like, we can use the Manipura chakra of, ego and desires and material things like cars and fancy things like that to motivate people to get that job. It's a motivation. But again, like, if people don't have a home, how are you supposed to work a job? Because everything that you buy and purchase, where you're keeping it, a lot of times it'll get stolen. And so this is just the reality. And a lot of people are like, on the right are just like, oh, well, they put themselves in this situation. They didn't work hard enough. It's like, okay, but you didn't face the abuses that this person faced. You had good parents. You had wealthy parents. Or you had parents in X, Y, and Z case. So that is something that is important. And that's why during my awakening, it was very beautiful, because the person that I deeply, madly fell in love with was liberal, I believe, at least. We didn't really talk too much politics, but I started to see things from that perspective and started to, since I fell in love with this person, I started to fall in love with basically both sides, because I was brought up basically to see things from the right-hand side to an extent, just because that was the type of family that I was brought into, like most of people on that side happen to be. And I do have on that side, my father's side, I have that connection to Donald Trump. So it's like kind of embedded in my blood, I guess, to see things from that perspective at least. But there's two sides to see. There's always two ways. There's a million ways to see things. With the Swadhisthana chakra, that has to do with desire for sex and relationships and all that, and also creativity. And so this is where you have, and movement as well. And so this is where you have, a lot of, liberal Hollywood. There's the dancers, and there's, they promote lust and all that as well there. This is, also a way that people are controlled, but it's, there's also the creative side of it. Like, I'll be honest, like, the Democrats are much more gifted when it comes to creativity and music and all that, much more left-brained. I hope I'm using the right term, and it's not the right brain, but which kind of makes sense. Like, we have this divide in this country of left and right. Yeah, we have a left and a right side of brain. And the reason why there's so much conflict is because it's an inner conflict, because we have to realize we are the left and the right side of the brain. And at the end of the day, there has to be a common solution. And we're only going to end all everybody's suffering once people realize by themselves that there has to be a common solution, and we have to work together. The left and the right hand sides of the brain have to work together in order for the body and the system to be a complete, right? Or otherwise you're like half brain dead. So you don't want that. And so I covered these first two kind of being covered by the Democratic parties. The Republican Party obviously is much more Manipura Chakra when it comes to ego. And you have a guy like Trump who is all about ego. Like, I'm willing to criticize that and call people out when I see it. He's very egotistical, like Trump everything. And he's all about money and all that. So like, he is very much the embodiment of the Manipura Chakra, like this like Hanuman type figure. But I mean, that's the hope, is that, you know, he can raise up to the heart and become a more heartfelt person. And, you know, I think ending wars and instilling peace throughout the world is a wonderful start and to all that. So it seems like he's definitely trying to write off karmic debts, and all the best with that. And moving on, well, I guess I'll focus on a bit more, I guess, like with Republicans, it comes to, they're the ones that are so focused on working, jobs, all that. Again, like, the meaning to life is not just work. There are higher desires that are to be reached, but a lot of people get locked here, thinking that working is going to bring them happiness, and more material gain is going to bring them happiness, or more ego is going to bring them happiness, more attention or more fame is going to bring them happiness. And like, that's why I'm honest. It's like, I'm like, you know, interested in all that stuff, because I still have that to express. Like, that's my perception when it comes to this, is, you know, I'm working on my way of detachment, but I know I also have things to express. And I think being honest with myself is better than saying, oh, I'm detached from everything, because then you come off as a liar and you come off as whatever. Like, I still have these attachments, but I'm working on them. That's what really the chanting does. The Shiva tattvas, which is like the masculine forms of the Hindu deities, help you detach from that said desire, because you're giving your time, your full time and attention by closing your eyes, and you're giving your full voice to this. So basically this process is like EXP farming to like get you out of the matrix of like, okay, I don't need this ego, I don't need this money. So keep chanting prayers for Hanuman. That has nothing to do like with politics. So like, you won't hear me talk about that at all if I was ever in office. Really though, I'm more interested in being the world's first man. And since I'm only 25 as well, like, you know, it's going to take some time for me to even like be able to get into office, but world's first man sounds cooler to me. Moving on past Manipura Chakra, going on to the heart chakra. And I would say like, this is where we go back to, it's almost like an equal split. You see like number ones and two, first and second belong to the Democrats, the third chakra, the Republicans, and then we go back onto the Democrats with the heart. They appeal to heart, appeal to emotion when it comes to certain topics. Like, it's very clear like what's going on, the whole deportations and all of that. Like, okay, I'm going to speak from the heart, right? Everyone should have equal opportunity. Everyone should have opportunity, you know, for a better life, and all that, like 100%. Like the problem is, and this is why I always like get, I'm very attached to the throat chakra, which deals more with hard truths. It's like the 4 years that Biden allowed that border open, we had no idea who's coming into the country. And for the first time ever, what that opens up is people from like our enemy nations, you know, like Russia, China, North Korea. What stops them from sending people to Mexico or Central America and then having them hike through, go across the border to America, and now we have spies in this country. Like, we never had spies in this country before. Like, we could have, but we always had ways to tell because we were monitoring everyone coming in and out. And it's very unfortunate, right? Because I'm all like, I love MIA and I love her song Borders. It's like, why do we have these borders? But like, it's unfortunate because like, if there's like there's a difference between the cultures of like two different places, if you just automatically fuse the two, it's like, okay, one country has these laws, one country has these laws. If we want open borders, you need to have universal laws, which means you have to have a one world government. Like I don't see any other way. And like, I am so open to hearing like how this could work and like how we can have more people in the country and how we can provide them resources, because a lot of people think resources, they just say it and they think that's like an easy thing. Resources usually is human labor. So we're expecting humans to conduct labor to help out other people who just got to this country instead of helping out like people who have been in this country for a long time who still need that help. It's tough though, because it's like I care about everyone equally the same. Like there's no difference between me and a kid from Somalia. Like we're both consciousness, so there's no difference. But in that same effect, like there's that no difference between me and a cat and me and a dog and me and this. So if you'll drive yourselves mad if you try to then say that you need to protect everyone. We're human and we're incapable of that type of protection. It's unfortunate reality, like, because when you have countries that have high crime and then we have open borders, it's like, okay, well, we did a really good job in the US taking care of, getting people the right opportunities so they don't resort to crime. And so then if we open things up and now we have people coming in who resort to crime because that's what they're used to, then it becomes a problem. And from what I hear, like that's the aim and the focus of these deportations is to go for people who are these criminals and previous offenders. Like the moment that people from this country who are here illegally start getting kicked out, like I'll have a problem when I'll start speaking about that on my channel. But I'm not going to it's hard for me I don't want to churn this whole channel into a political thing. Because yeah, like I like talking about the spiritual elements as well, and I don't want to divert away from that because that knowledge is transcendental in nature, and this political knowledge is more, again, like knowledge for my ego to be like, oh, well, I'm right about this, or this is how I see things. I want to share that perspective. And yeah, so the Democrats, they rule the heart. They try to appeal to emotion to get to people. They appeal to, so they get celebrities and stuff. Oh, you love that celebrity. This celebrity does this. Or they say, oh, look at these poor people suffering and all this. They appeal to the heart, and that's what they do. That's what they're good at. It is important, though, to have that, to be open and have, love should be, I was about to say love should be free, but I know in the 70s that meant something completely different. I literally just mean it you shouldn't have to prove yourself to be loved. Like, you should just love your neighbor because they're your neighbor. And that's the thing. That's why it gets very difficult when people are going at each other for this issue. And that's the thing. It's just complicated because there are two pretty good sides to it. Like, there are people who are being genuine on one side, and then there are people who are understanding it from a different perspective, and they're like, well, this is why it's happening. Yeah, but I can't sit here and defend the entire Republican Party or anything because I'm just me. So, and I don't really know. I'm Hindu. I'm not I'm not like some pro Second Amendment redneck, any type of stereotypical leftist or rightist, I would say. I truly, this is why I'm making this video, is I truly see things from all angles. That's why I'm going through each of the different centers. Moving on to the throat chakra, that is to do more, like I said, with the Republican Party. They're interested just purely in truth, facts, statistics. And so this is what I'm going to say. One does not triumph over the other. Just because people have facts, statistics, all this, they want to make these cold decisions, right? But here's the thing, they're going to do that for which vision? Like, what vision do these people have in their mind that they're making these decisions? Because this is the best. They say this is the best. Yes, but for who? All right, like when it comes to these deportations, this is the best for who? Well, it's best for Americans. Is it best for the people being deported? Well, no. So at the end of the day, truth is something that, in a sense, can be, there are hard truths, but there are some like truths that are non-dual, because you see what I'm saying? Like, to one person's perspective, we can get into something more complex like abortion. One person's perspective on this is like, it should be the mother's right to choose. Like, it's up to the, it's her body, it's her choice with what to do with that. That's one argument, and that's a great argument. And then the other one is, well, it's not her body technically, because this is another soul and human attached to it. So then we have to then protect this child. So it's all truth, and all that when it comes to these perspectives is non-dual. Like, just because, Republicans want to do things and say, well, this is best for the economy. Well, things that are best for the economy, that might benefit the Manipura chakra on everybody. But does it then benefit these lower chakras? Does it benefit people's survivability? And does it benefit people's ability to make relationships and allow them more creativity and things like that? When it comes to third eye, the third eye is what they don't have, because third eye is really a vision for a future. And the Democrats and the Republicans they're not sharing their vision for the future, which makes me very sketched. Their vision for the future is like Peter Thiel of Palantir, and Elon Musk making AI government and AI surveillance in this country, just based upon like the bills that have been passed with AI and AI infrastructure. We haven't been told like what that's used for. So that's sus. Because this like increased surveillance that they're using with like deporting these migrants, it's like, okay, well, you're setting up the infrastructure for mass surveillance. So that's stupid, because like, even if people want to say that they trust Donald Trump with the mass surveillance techniques where they're using AI to automatically recognize people's faces, well, okay, what happens when the next administration comes in and the same infrastructure is already there, pre-existing? Dumb. And they're also making like, some company in California made some like, and they're trying to flex it. Oh, we made these like super powerful, like it's like a bat wing, but it's AI powered. Why are we making AI powered freaking flying death machines? That makes no sense. Why? We can't get a human to do that? We need AI to do that? Like, who are these people playing these games with freaking robots? Like, they're children, and they're playing war games with artificial intelligence. So that's not a good vision for the future. The Democrats too, the concern is, when you have these sanctuary cities, and this is what was happening, is they were trying to increase the amount of electoral votes that they got within those cities, which would turn some of these swing states then blue, because they would get a bunch of people into this country and say, oh, well, you're only in here if the Democrats are in office. Otherwise, you're getting kicked out. So then they get, maybe they're not allowed to vote, like I said, but again, they're getting more electoral votes, because in the census, they'll be counted, and they can do that. They can allow to count them on the census. That's what they were aiming to do. Say, oh, if they're illegal, we're going to still count them on the census. So they would get more votes. So their vision for the future was to basically lock out Republicans from basically ever being able to win. They also did not have a Democratic primary, or so they didn't let Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Run the Democratic primaries, because they didn't have debates or anything, and they just threw Kamala in there. So their vision for the future, like, is also dark. Like, Joe Biden allowed the Ukraine war to start and didn't do anything to negotiate, and he allowed the war in Gaza to start and didn't do anything to negotiate. and then they wanted to open up the border to be wide open when we were in the middle of these two wars. It's like, oh, that's smart. It's like, I wonder if there are any Ukrainians or Russians or Hamas that don't like the United States that would maybe take advantage of this crisis. And that's maybe just a wild fear, but you have to imagine people who see the United States as their enemy, like, you have to be concerned about this. But at the end of the day, I will be honest with you, like, if somebody like ever came into the country wanting to cause harm, it's like really the real answer to that is to give them a hug and be like, hey man, like, it'll be okay. You don't need to like hate us. Like, literally forgiveness and all that, as cheesy as it sounds, like, would solve. And yeah, crown chakra, every single year, it's either Democrat or Republican. You have two options, it teeter-totters, and whoever's the king, they take over the governmental body, and then they are